The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Geoff Banks Bet. Join the excitement and sign up to Geoff Banks Online now to get 10% off any net losses returned as cash after your first month of betting up to £500 at geoffbanks.bet. Coronation Cup. Emily Upjohn is favourite. Lucy, do you think that she's going to go back-to-back? She was a little bit underwhelming in Dubai as well. Augusta Rodin didn't bounce back with a win, but is she going to?
She was so impressive, wasn't she, the way she beat Westover last year? And yeah, she was disappointing in Maidan, like you rightly said. So was August Rodin. She's going to be receiving weight again from her rivals. I think she's the horse to beat. Luxembourg, obviously, again, his run in Maidan was disappointing as well, like her. I think she has more in her favour, personally. And she was very impressive last year in that race.
She's run 4 times off a break of 60 days or more. She's won 3 times. That was one of the logical reasons for backing her in Dubai, I think, for some people against Rebels Romance. It obviously didn't come to fruition there. It was such a disappointing performance from her there. I'm not sure if I am actually enthused about backing her at the price she is. In fact, I'm pretty certain I'm quite keen to take her on. Luxembourg, he's become a really interesting horse in this race for me because over a mile 4, it might be the time for him. This might actually really suit him going up and trip. It's interesting he's still in training, George. And he's definitely a horse who's on a recovery mission. We've seen him twice this season. He's been beaten by Spirit Dancer as an odds-on favourite in the Middle East. And then, well, he was totally unsighted in Maidan when very fancied for the Group 1 over 10 furlongs or 9 furlongs. But what do you make of his prospects in this race?
My way of looking at it, Emily Upjohn obviously sets the standard, winner of the race last year. I said before, whether rightly or wrongly, I sort of have a tendency to sort of, particularly when it's just one run in Dubai and not a string of races where you can sort of build an idea of where their form is. If there's just one run in Dubai, I'm pretty inclined to just ignore it. Whether that's to my detriment or not, I don't know. She was good enough to win the race first time out last year. And this is probably the track and distance combination that sees her to best effect. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, at his best, is Luxembourg good enough to give her that weight? I'm not sure he is. That'd be my way of seeing it, to be honest. If you consider she's going to be at her best, which I think she will be, is Luxembourg A, going to produce his best at Epsom, and B, even if he does produce his best, is he going to be good enough?
I guess the spin would be she has an RPR of 138, he has one of 136, and as you said, he has to give her the £5 sex allowance. On time form, Luxembourg is 138, she's 141. So there's not a whole lot between them. He's a very talented racehorse when everything goes right for him. He's an Irish Champion Stakes winner. He hasn't won on an undulating surface, but he's run well on it, to be fair. But if you wanted to be hypercritical, you'd say he hasn't got that win to his name on an undulating track yet. He's also unproven at the distance. He's been beaten twice over mile 4, but you can't definitively say he doesn't stay. You also can't definitively say that he does. So if you're backing him really based on the idea that it's Aidan O'Brien, it's Coolmore, they've kept him in training as a 5-year-old because they think there's an awful lot more to come. He was narrowly beaten by Augusta Rodin in an Irish Champion Stakes, and he won that race the year before. He's gone out to Cheltenham. He's been narrowly beaten in a Group 1 over there by Romantic Warrior, who's a bit of a legend out there.
If you had all those question marks and they're running off level weight, might be inclined at the prices to have a go on him. Just the fact that he's got to give weight away as well just swings it that way, Rob. I'd rather either back Emily Upjohn or not bet at all, would be how I'll be looking at it.
Okay. Luxembourg 3-1 with Geoff Banks Bet. Emily Upjohn 11-8 on. Anybody else at a price that interests you?
Hamish, you got thrown in there, who is great win record and stays the trip. Wouldn't surprise me if he could gain his first Group 1 victory in that race. Big price if he were to run.
Does this not just completely prove the point that building out a 3-day Epsom festival and making the Coronation Cup as one of the standout feature races, when you're looking at this year's renewal and top heavy, you've got the defending champion Emily Upjohn, who's a multiple Group 1 winner, who's a very talented horse on her day. You've got Luxembourg, who's a multiple Group 1 winner, again for a powerhouse stable, this time in Aidan O'Brien, Jonathan Thady Gosden with the favourite. And then after that, who have we got? Dubai Honour, yeah, Group 1 winner in Australia, but can't do it in Britain. Feed the Flame, interesting runner for the French. You're not exactly massively excited to get stuck into him, or I'm not. Lucy's given a chance to Hamish, who's 20-1 with Geoff Banks Bet and would need to improve, and he's now 8 years of age to go and win it. He's got a mark of 117. It's not impossible. Emily Upjohn's 121, Luxembourg's 120. I mean, he could go, maybe he's overpriced at that given the fact that it looks like he's going to run. Time Lock needs to improve massively. He's got a rating of 112. It's possible he can, but how are you going to have this as one of the centerpiece races of your new 3-day festival if you can barely get runners to fill the race this year?
Yeah.
I've seen it have far fewer runners.
What other races are there over the 2 days which are quite good? Like the Epsom Dash, I suppose.
An Epsom Dash.
Lads, this is completely delusional stuff. You had 5 runners last year. You had 6 runners in 2022. You had 6 runners in 2021. How is this going to be the standalone feature race of 3rd day of a festival? What?
Arguably, it probably shouldn't be a Group 1, arguably, should it really, the Coronation State? Although the quality of the horses you have that are in it are good, but there's not many of them. Also, what I was thinking, there's not a 1.5 mile Group 1 race at Royal Ascot, is there?
Oh, Lucy Russell-Hughes coming in with the hot opinions again. Move this race to Royal Ascot. Give them a middle distance Group 1 over a mile 4 there. But I'm not having it that it's not a Group 1 race. It's been won by Sirius des Angles, postponed, Highland Reel, Cracksman, Rayath. I think that's what Laura King said we were supposed to pronounce it as, but Gayath, Hookham.
I was just thinking about now. How many of those were fairly uncompetitive and you have one really good horse? I remember a lot of them, like Nicholas Abbey and that, like won it with nothing against him. Just on a Group 1 horse won it, but he was the only Group 1 horse there. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not saying one way or the other, but she might have a point. There's quite a few of those races you're talking about were very uncompetitive. How
dare you? Don't you know Highland Reel beat the Godolphin Superstars, Frontiersman and Hawksbill and Idaho? Yeah, his brother. Superstars. And to be fair, Hookham beat Pile Driver, who would go on to win the King George. And back in third does anybody remember which Aidan O'Brien horse was third? Here is the question. Don't Google it. What is the name of the Aidan O'Brien trained horse who finished third in the Coronation Cup in 2022? Comment below if you're watching on YouTube. If not, if you're listening to us on the podcast, which most of you do, go to YouTube and comment. We will give you a shout out on the show next week. What was the Aidan O'Brien horse who finished third in the Coronation Cup in 2022? It goes to prove Lucy's point about the quality of the race, and indeed George's point. Pile Driver in 2021 beat Alassi and Japan. Gayath or Rayath, whichever pronunciation we're going to go for, beat Anthony Van Dyke, who'd won the Derby, and Stradivarius, who would have needed further, but that's proper Group 1 form, to be fair. Defoe beat Kew Gardens, Salowin and Communicate. You've got a point here. You've both got a point.
What horse, Defoe? What horse?
Defoe was a bit of a legend. But it's a little bit like the Tattersalls Gold Cup. And look, I understand that this year is slightly different in that you've got a really good winner in White Birch beating a really good, proper Group 1 performer in Augusta Rodan. So the first two at least add a bit of strength and depth to the race. But the problem with the Tattersalls Gold Cup is that it tends to be won by a very good horse, and those in behind are like, they're not great. There's no real depth to it. And that's a problem to the Coronation Cup. I haven't heard anybody in the analysis of this is a great idea. Extend Epsom's Derby Festival to a 3-day meeting and make the Coronation Cup the centerpiece of one of those days. Go, how strong has the Coronation Cup been in recent years? Has it been a strong enough race that it's getting a sufficiently big enough field and quality enough runners that we could do that? You two brought that up. Did anybody bring it up in the meeting at Epsom Racecourse?
No, because they just want to get they want to get people in, don't they, Emmet? So they probably won't bring that up. They want to get more people into the racecourse, more the merrier.
So final selections for the Coronation Cup. Lucy, who are you with?
Yeah, I am with Emily Upjohn. I think she's going to take all the beating. She won it, like we've all said, first time out last year. But if Hamish runs, he may well be a danger at a bigger price each way. George, you're with Emily Upjohn?
I'm with Emily Upjohn. I've definitely been talked into Hamish. I'd probably have a small each way now at 20-1, and big, not big, medium-sized place only on the day, maybe a small forecast.
By the way, we're reacting to this now. You already know this information. We're gonna come to the race in a second, but City of Troy has taken a right old walk in the betting and has been joined as favourite by Los Angeles. You heard it here first on this show, baby! Los Angeles wins that derby! Why didn't I take the 20-1? What a fool. Right, more on that in a second. The Oaks. So betting is headed by the Aidan O'Brien train, Ylang Ylang. The team at Geoff Banks Bet have priced the race up as such. The Oaks. Ylang Ylang, 15-8. Lucy Russell-Hughes, who's going to win the Oaks?
I can't be with Yang Yang because I just think she's a really tough filly to work out. I mean, her form is quite in and out. Obviously, she may well improve for the step-up and trip to a mile and a half. Be interesting to see. If Dance Sequence is to run, she'd be my horse to go with. I think she's a huge price. I thought she was the most disappointing in the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket, her and Yang Yang. Because, I think her second at Newmarket behind Pretty Crystal was good. She still looked green. She's a big horse. I think a mile and a half at Epsom will be great for her. William Buick's already dropped up and she'd be my bet.
25-1.
Yeah, it's a bit wild, isn't it?
I was not expecting a 25-1 tip from you. You've pulled rabbits out of the hat before, Lucy. Can you better that, George Gorman?
I'm a little on my sort of win take on the race. I'll be with Azalea. I could hardly, after I sort of spoke at length about Purple Lily earlier, I think that run was probably better even than it looked in the Group 3 on reappearance. And we all know Arga Khan, Dermot Weld, Epsom, horse that doesn't seem to have enough experience. It's usually a fairly good combination. That would be the one I'd be most interested in. I say that number of 103 on reappearance probably wants a boost. Like just from how Purple Lily ran next time out, I was a big fan of her run in the Guineas at the weekend. And I'm a little bit undecided. My sort of big each way swing, it's going to be one of the Rafe Beckett horses. Is again does so well with his fillies. I was speaking to Hector after the Lingfield race because I'll back one of Rafe's or both of them in the Lingfield races. He's never shy of running his best horses in the Lingfield Oaks trial. He always seems to bring a good one there, and they always seem to run well at a price. And luckily, I was on this one. I spoke to Hector after the race, and he was basically shocked that everyone seemed to be ignoring the fact he won an Oaks trial. Like, he really couldn't understand. Like, can't remember his exact words, but he was a little bit bemused by the fact that everyone was talking about the second, basically, and it's showing currently in the betting that Ruby Zared is 4s and she's 12s. Can't see any reason that she should be that. I'd 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if Treasure improved for the run as well. But I think you got to me, it's just the wrong price for me. So I'd probably have a little each way on that as well.
I think they're entitled to feel a little bit, why is nobody talking about our horse and everyone's talking about Aidan O'Brien's Rubies Are Red? The kind of the big talking point that's emerged since that run in Lingfield is she made up an awful lot of ground from a very unpromising position in a very quick time. Like, she has powered home. And had the race panned out a little bit better for her, she clearly would have won. I think she would have won, personally. The other talking point is that she's a full sister to Found, who was a brilliant horse for Aidan O'Brien. I would expand on that. She was a full sister to Found. She's also a full sister to Best in the World, who went on to produce Snowfall, who was a devastatingly impressive winner of this race. But she's also a full sister to Divinely and Magical Dream. Divinely was definitely beaten in the Lingfield Oaks trial. She's also a full sister to Iniesta, and I got beat in 2 0-100 handicap hurdles around Kempton on that. So it ended up hunter chasing, I think. Full sister to Found and the mighty Iniesta. She's got the pedigree for Epsom, lads. I take it as a real negative. I'd be very interested in both of your thoughts about her performance at Lingfield, because Lingfield is essentially a blueprint copy of Epsom. So if she was running all about at Lingfield why is she suddenly going to improve and love Epsom?
Yeah, her second at Lingfield was strange because she was miles back. I don't think that's going to be any good for a horse really going into an Oaks at Epsom. But trained by the master Aidan O'Brien could well prove me wrong. But I don't think that run is giving me much confidence at all the horse really. But they're so strung out as well.
So while you say they are similar tracks, Epsom is the more difficult version, it should be said. Like the turf down the hill at Lingfield, because the track's not used very often, it doesn't give way under you. Like you sort of skip off the top of it. Tattenham Corner, the ground gives way underneath you as you come down it. You go and walk around there and have a look. I remember the first time I rode around there, like walking the course and seeing the strips that are torn off the top of the track, where because that track is used so much more often, the route systems aren't as complex. So the grass just slips off the top of it. They're slipping down the hill, whereas at Lingfield they're just sort of running down it. And also the straight at Lingfield's pretty even compared to Epsom. Like it's no, if there's a slight camber, it'd barely even be noticeable. There's not that aspect of it either. It's a nice preparation. It's better than having only run a York or somewhere like that, or Newbury, but it's still going to be, if whatever happened to Ruby's a Red isn't something she's learned from, Epsom's going to expose it even more.
That's a very good point to make. We're talking about a horse who's rated 97, is a maiden, was beaten in her Oaks trial, and you're being asked to take 7-2. I don't get it. I don't think Ryan Moore is going to ride her. And that's going to have a big impact on the market, because if he rides Ylang Ylang, which I think he will, that's the horse who will go off favourite, and Ruby's a Red will just take a big old drift in the market. I think Ylang Ylang is the one to be with. She's got the most solid form. She's a very exciting horse. She blew out behind Fallen Angel last year, but clearly better than that. And I thought the run at Newmarket was just solid. She's the most obvious one. She just stands out like a neon light. I think she's going to be very, very hard to beat. Ylang Ylang. Very, very hard to beat.
To my selection as well, if Ryan gets up on Ylang Ylang and Ruby's a Red goes for a walk in the betting, who are they more likely to cut in the market than the horse that beat Ruby's a Red the last day? If you were going to get on that train, I'd say 12-1 could disappear fairly quickly. I'm not saying she'll go any short than 8s or anything, but if Ryan's not on Ruby's a Red, surely there's a chance these two swap places in the market.
I would very much agree with that. She wouldn't be my pick, but it makes perfect sense. There's a very strong argument that she can only contract in the market. You got me. The Derby, where City of Troy is on the drift, massively so. When we recorded that bit with Geoff Banks and Chris last week, City of Troy was the 7-4 favourite to win the Derby with most bookmakers. He is now 3-1 with Geoff Banks Bet. The horse that I put up for the race was a 5-1 shot when we recorded that segment. Geoff said that he wanted to duck Los Angeles. He actually told his traders go 4-1 about him. He wanted to keep him on side. How right he was. Los Angeles is now 7-2 and is pressing for favoritism with other firms. So Geoff Banks Bet goes 7-2 Los Angeles, 3-1 City of Troy, 5-1 Ambiente Friendly. Ancient Wisdom has been cut into 5-1. Okay. Dancing Gemini, an 11-1 shot. Diego Velasquez does not run. Macduff, who's been popular with quite a few people, is a 16-1 shot with Geoff Banks Bet. Lucy Russell-Hughes, who is going to win the Derby?
Yeah, I am with Los Angeles. I absolutely love that horse, Emmet. 3 from 3. Great to see he's been so well supported. I think he's an absolute spectacle. And that Derby trial in Ireland doesn't bode well though statistically for horses that have won that Irish Derby trial haven't done so well in the Epsom Derby. That's the only negative.
Oh. Sindar, Galileo, High Chaparral. Yates probably would have won the Derby. But that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. In recent years, what has been
in her lifetime, not in ours, eh?
We're not that different, much different in age.
I don't know, Lucy. I feel bloody old.
Was it the Ballysacks and then the Derrinstown, and then the Derby. That was where he went with all of them, wasn't it? And then Midas Touch messed it up for everyone. He stopped doing it. He was it See the Stars? Workforce's Derby, I think. That was the one that sort of, I think, broke the one that was very well back, that sort of broke the Ballysacks Derrinstown.
Oh my God.
I was there. That's the only reason I remember.
That's a great memory.
Do some mental gymnastics. I didn't back it, so I don't think I was 18.
Which means you did back it, but gamble responsibly, folks. Didn't Bolshoi Ballet win both? And then he was the only runner for Aidan O'Brien, was sent off a very short price favourite and blew out. And that would have been only a couple of years ago.
No. It did used to be the tried and tested method.
It all changed when Kieran Fallon joined Ballydoyle, because Aidan O'Brien never went to the Chester Derby trial. He would send something over for the Dante. Invariably, it would be just to get a handle on what is the best British form. And then, so he'd run like a Group 3 or Group 2 horse at best, but not one that was capable of winning the Derby. And then would be able to gauge where his horses are in terms of the British form. Once Kieran Fallon came on board, he outlined the importance of Chester and how beneficial it is to a racehorse to learn experience of going to Chester and the advantage that they would get winning there and then being able to go to America and deal with the tight turning tracks. And in the short term, how advantageous it would be to win at Chester with a view to going to Epsom. So the Dante was never really the big trial for them. Chester became the big trial, and the Guineas became the big trial, and the Derrinstown just kind of slipped down the pecking order. Fame and Glory, did he win both? Did he win the Ballysacks and the Derrinstown and went close in See the Stars year? If it wasn't for the See the Stars, he would have...
Well, the St Ledger horse then started going Derrinstown, didn't it?
Yeah, Broom. Yeah, like that horse that would end up being a stayer. That kind of horse was the one who was doing it. But this feels different. This feels a little bit different. I take on board what you're saying, but he won the Group 1 in France at the back end of last season, which is kind of an odd Group 1. I mean, if any race is going to be downgraded, it's probably that one that should be. Fame and Glory won that and then was second in the Derby. This fella just feels a little bit different. There was a lot of talk about him before his debut. He's gone to France. Ryan Moore didn't ride him. Christophe Soumillon did. Ryan Moore's never ridden him. Responded very, very, very well for Christophe. He won in really good style. He's come out and won the Derrinstown Derby trial, is it the Cashel Palace Hotel? The lads own that. Coolmore boys own that hotel and spent a lot of money on it. I'm sure it's lovely. The three of us will go there and we'll have a lovely dinner soon. John Magner can pay for it. This is a long-winded way of me saying, Lucy, I'm very much with you, but is there anything else you want to add in as to why you're so confident about him, or are you very confident about him?
Yeah, I love the horse. I just think the manner of all of his victories, he didn't win the Criterion de Saint-Cloud by far last year, but the fact he was able to win a Group 1 as a 2-year-old it is great. I think he cost a lot of money, didn't he, as well? He's by Camelot. Just such a gorgeous, imposing horse. There's more to like about him physically than City of Troy. I think that's probably why I'm so drawn to him. And I think it's still a great derby. I think people have moaned about the quality, hummed and hard about it. I think the only one missing that's a real shame is Economics, personally, but I still think it's going to be a great race.
Hidden Law would have won this, I think.
Oh yeah, of course.
Poor thing.
And Arabian Crown as well. I think I'm more disappointed that Economics hasn't lined up, because you win the Dante by 6 lengths. You know, you're not showing up in the Derby. That's disappointing. But William Harris is a great trainer.
Oh, he's a brilliant trainer, and it's not his thing to run a horse that has that little experience in a Derby trial. So the fact that he even turned up to the Dante in the first place was a little bit late, really, because I'm pretty sure at the start of the season I was told that's a horse to watch out for a Royal Ascot handicap. I'm pretty certain that's exactly what I was told, and then he's running in a Derby trial. And I remember even getting ready for TalkSport that day and including that in my analysis and going, keep him in mind for Ascot, and he bolts up. But they're not taking him to France either for the French Derby, so it's just they don't feel that a classic is in the horse's long-term best interest at this point in his development, and that's fair enough if that's how they feel. I think it's disappointing. It's very disappointing he's not turning up, but anyway.
He's not our horse.
Done to go to the Dante with very little experience, even maybe get beaten the Dante and then win the Derby in record time. That couldn't be done.
Desert Crown.
Workforce
As well, yeah. Desert Crown won it, of course, but
once before the Dante? Twice.
Didn't Golden Horn win the Dante and the Derby as well?
They both only had one run before the Dante, hadn't they?
Finished second to Rewilding?
Yeah,
like that.
I think that's right.
Yeah. And
good memory.
And then won the Derby in record time, which was the end of the best story ever when Ryan had given Snow Fairy the best ride I've ever and will ever seen in the Oaks. To be asked how it felt on the way back in and say, "Oh, it's not the Derby, is it?" And then to break the track record and workforce the next day. It's the most Ryan Moore thing that's ever happened. It was maybe the coolest quote anyone's ever given. It was how fantastic.
He is a cool dude.
Well, I think workforce was.
Yeah, he had the green cap. Yeah, he had the green cap.
Yeah. But yeah. What day?
Okay, so Los Angeles is your pick, Lucy. Spoiler alert, he's my pick as well. George Gorman, who are you with?
Complete the hat trick. I can't say what I've been saying all afternoon about Aidan O'Brien's horses needing the run, and then ignore one that wins a classic trial first time out.
Yes! That's the whole thing that this hinges on.
And I'll go one better. My each way swinger is the horse that finished second to him that day.
Euphoric.
Turns up. Why is he 40-1? Like, I know he's only won a maiden, but for Los Angeles to be the price he is, he was only a length behind him. And he could be very much the sort of horse I could see, maybe, do you remember the horse that nearly beat Workforce at first sight? Went off, end up with Lanigan's, I think. But it went off, basically made all the running and nearly won the Derby. I could see something similar happening here where maybe, I wouldn't call it a pacemaker, but if he maybe went very fast in front, maybe to benefit the running of some of the others, he might be difficult to get pegged back, or he'd certainly hang on to a place. And for the very same reasons that I fancy Los Angeles here. So I'd just chuck that one in as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if Euphoric runs a big race. Okay, you're with Los Angeles too. Look, the main thing about this horse that his big chance hinges on is the fact that he's an Aidan O'Brien trained 3-year-old who was able to win first time up. He's obviously got good form to his name. He's a Group 1 winner in France. You can debate the merits of that Group 1 performance and how strong that race is all you want to. But he's been able to win first time out at Tipperary. He's been able to go to Saint-Cloud and win on soft ground over 10 furlongs. He's come out first run of the season and won, despite the fact that basically every single 3-year-old that Aidan O'Brien has been running has desperately needed the run. Euphoric got beaten on his seasonal debut in Cork. He then turned the form around with the Dundalk O'Brien horse who beat him to step forward from that run to be second to Los Angeles. So he's probably going to improve again as well. Stamina is not going to be an issue for him. He looks a really well-balanced horse. He looks like a horse who will be very well suited to the undulations and the cambers at Epsom. Like, maybe the drift makes sense for City of Troy given the ground. Whatever about him being able to brush off his first run of the season in the 2,000 guineas, dust himself off from that. Is he tailor-made to a mile 4 on soft ground at Epsom? Like, is that what this horse is built for? I'd have a slight worry about the ground for him, especially with the stamina doubts about him. And there has to be some bit of a stamina doubt about him. Until he's actually seen out the trip, you don't know. So I respect City of Troy and I respect Aidan O'Brien's brilliance to be able to get the horse to bounce back. He did it last year with Auguste Rodin. He did it with Luxembourg to get him to come back to win an Irish Champion Stakes after a disappointing run in the Royal Whip. He got him back last year to win the Tattersalls Gold Cup after a disappointing run on his comeback. Aidan O'Brien can get horses to recover from bad runs to go and win Group 1s. But can he make lightning strike twice? And can he do it with a Justify on soft ground over a mile 4? I don't know. This is becoming the very limit of the price I would want to take, though, about Los Angeles. Like 7-2 is we're coming to the cutoff point. If he gets any shorter in the betting, we're coming to I have a decision to make about you now. I don't know if I want to be backing you at that price, but I think he's very, very solid. I'm very excited about his prospects. Who is the big danger to Los Angeles, in your opinion?
Yeah, obviously City of Troy. But I think you have got Dear Mile in there as well, who's been thrown in. But I'm going to throw him in because I was impressed with the way he won at Windsor. Jim Crowley's already been booked to ride. Again, he's a bit of a wild card. He's by Camelot. Maybe that's the route I'm going down. But I just like the manner of his victory at Windsor. Okay, it was only in a novice. He is completely thrown in. He's got a high head carriage, but the yards wouldn't be running him, I don't think, unless they thought he had a chance. You obviously got Ancient Wisdom in there and Beyond Friendly, who obviously was good at Lingfield. I just think Darren Mile, he could be anything. That could be an anything horse, really.
Genuinely can't tell whether this is just people are looking at soft ground, City of Troy, he's bombed out first time out, how could you back him, and they're opposing him, or is there a real concern he's not going to go? How likely are they to run him on soft ground over a mile 4, if it is proper soft ground?
Problem is, it's a derby, isn't it? It's, in terms of stallion profile, it's like one of those where, like, I know it's not the race it was in terms of stallion profiles, but it's still the derby, and it damages him to not running it as much as it damages him almost to get beaten it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a very fair point, actually.
I think it would damage him if Ryan got off him, even. Like, that's what I mean. It is that influential still. I almost think when Aidan has a winner of the derby and it's not perceived to be his first string, it does take a little bit of a shine off that horse, to me anyway, from like a stallion perspective. No one really was going to take Serpentine seriously, were they? No matter what he won after that. Same with Wings of Eagles. Like, a stable jockey almost has to be on. Do you know what I mean? For them to be taken seriously.
Well, how many Coolmore horses have been sent off incredibly well-backed favourites in Group 1s because they love the perception of they knew this horse was going to win. That's why some of them go off so heavily backed on the day. And that would also include having the stable jockey on board. So that's a really good point to make. If he runs, Ryan's riding him. Is City of Troy now becoming a very backable price? Like, he is the European champion juvenile. He did destroy Hatem last year. Hatem has proven himself to be a really good horse this season. He's much better than him. So you just have to draw a line through one run, forgive him that. And the market is now giving you a massively increased price. Like, who would have thought City of Troy would be 3-1 to win the Derby with Geoff Banks Bet? Very, very few. And yet that's the price you're now heading towards. Is this becoming almost an economics situation? You're getting too big a price about a horse of his ability. Just have faith in Aidan O'Brien to get him right, and take the 3-1 about the European champion juvenile.
Yeah, I said my basis for going with Los Angeles was it's the Aidan O'Brien horse that won first time out. But I've also been saying all afternoon, you've got to forgive him their first start, and he's rated £13 clear of Los Angeles. If he can recover from that, and even on RPRs, I think it's £12 clear. Is a lot. It's a hell of a lot. It just comes down to how you think he'll handle the ground and Epsom. Like I said, Los Angeles is that horse that has managed to win first time out, and if by Camelot. It's getting quite tough as the prices get closer together, isn't it?
I think City of Troy, he's only a talking horse because of the way his trainer has spoken about him, if that makes sense. Like, there's so many people that aren't impressed with him, even though he was fantastic in the Dewhurst. But physically, he's not that impressive, wasn't that impressive in the Guineas. But it's just because Aidan O'Brien hasn't spoken about Los Angeles like he has about City of Troy. So
he is rated £9 clear of the next highest rated horse in the race, in the Derby, and you're getting odds against on him.
Yeah, it does seem mad, doesn't it?
Which is shocking. That can't be, they don't handicap horses first on what Aidan O'Brien says. Like, it's,
yeah.
There probably is a degree of hype to it. There probably is a degree of hype, but £9, it's a lot.
Timeform make City of Troy 135. They make Ancient Wisdom 130. Ambiente Friendly is 129. Los Angeles is 122p. So he has a clear advantage, a £5 advantage over Godolphin's Ancient Wisdom, who's now third favourite. He's got a £6 advantage over the fourth favourite Ambiente Friendly, and a significant advantage over Los Angeles.
It's a little bit interesting that the Timeform don't seem to rate Roger Teal's horse at all, because he's the third highest rated horse on official ratings.
Yeah, they give him 126.
I just think that's interesting. He wasn't. He's the one that seems to move the most in the rankings. I just find that interesting.
But if Roger's logic is right, that if the rain hadn't fallen, they'd have won the French 2000 guineas had it not been for that downpour, then they're not helped by the fact that it's going to be soft ground.
I've been thinking about it. Oh God, that'd be a story. I know he doesn't train there anymore, but Roger trained in Epsom for most of his career. God, that'd be a hell of a story. I worked for Roger one summer in Epsom. It is.
Oh, class.
That yard had about 15 boxes, and now he's doing what he's doing. Group horses. He's a great man and a very good horseman. That would be. I'd happily tear up all my betting slips on anything else to watch that happen.
Yeah, it'd be quite a cool winner, wouldn't it? If you were to win, it'd be pretty cool.
And neither of you have mentioned Ambiente Friendly. Do you believe his run in Lingfield, and do you think he can win, Lucy?
No, I wasn't overly taken with his win at Lingfield. No, I wasn't overly taken with the filly either. I don't know why, but just trying to remember the race now. I just think he's going to struggle at Epsom, personally. I don't think he's a Derby horse.
I agree with you, and something felt off about that race, and I can't quite explain why. It was like he joined in at halfway and just bolted with the race. But
I think he still looked a bit inexperienced in the closing stages, if I can remember rightly. I haven't watched it since it was live.
I
looked a bit inexperienced.
I'm not telling you he can't win the race, but I did just look at it and go, you're a good winner. People are going to get very excited about you for Epsom, and you're not going to win.
At the end of the day, for me, going into that, he was a maiden winner, and he's beat the horse he's beaten was a maiden winner. Admittedly, that Illinois, I think, back end of the season was second to Los Angeles, wasn't
he? Yeah, third.
But then this season, I know again we're giving Aidan O'Brien's horse a run, but he ran just as badly to me the second time as he did the first time.
Yeah, well, he started out in the Ballysacks, which it used to be Ballysacks Sternstown. He started out there, then went to the Lingfield Derby trial, and he stepped forward, but not enough, and he hated Lingfield.
Yeah. I do. It seems to come out of nowhere a bit too much for me. Like I say, he did. Illinois got that bit of form with Los Angeles, but October of a 2-year-old season, funny things happen.
Yeah, I just don't quite believe it. Okay, the big priced bet for the Derby for George Gorman is Euphoric.
Yeah.
Lucy, who is your double figure priced horse for the Derby?
Yeah, it'd be Dare Mile. We haven't spoken about Ben and Justin, who obviously won the Blue Ribbon trial, I think. We haven't spoken about him. He's another, strong possible. I just think Dare Mile could be anything, a bit of a wild card. Just like the way he won at Windsor last time. I know it's a novice, but he's a big price.
We have seen this owner's silks finish second and third and pick up massive prize money in the Derby before at massive each way odds. So I'm not going to oppose you on that, given their record of getting horses placed at Epsom. I'm with Los Angeles. I've taken 5-1. I've taken 9-2. I should have taken much bigger. I don't want to take any shorter than he is now. 7-2 with Geoff Banks Bet that's a good price. It's a tale of two cities. Are you with the ancient city of Troy, or are you with the city of Los Angeles? I'm with Los Angeles for now, but if City of Troy continues to drift, he's too big. Who is the best bet of the 3 Group 1s for you all? Lucy, Coronation Cup, Oaks, Derby. Who are you most excited about backing?
Probably I will go with Los Angeles. It's a bit boring, isn't it, Emmet? I think the Oaks is a lot more wide open. I do like dance sequence for the Oaks at a bigger price. But like I say, if City of Troy gets any bigger, it's a gift. But if Los Angeles gets any shorter, it's dangerous. That's how I view it.
Yeah.
But I'm with Los Angeles right now.
George Gorman.
I genuinely think the best bet is Emily Upjohn, as short as it is.
What?
I can't see her getting beat. I just can't see anything that beats her. It's sort of that material, but if you're looking for something at a slightly better price, it would be Los Angeles. But you're asking me which one of these 3 will win. It's Emily Upjohn.
I did a scumbag each way bet the other day. In fact, it was yesterday. And I fully expect this bet to come off. Luxembourg, Ylang, Los Angeles. They won't be out of the frame. Gamble responsibly. They won't be out of the frame, and all three can win. In Aidan O'Brien, we trust. It's all the British. The British are dominating everything in racing. We've had 6 classics so far, 2 in France, 2 in the UK, 2 in Ireland. None of them have gone to the Irish. This is the weekend where we turn it around. Team Ballydoyle are rolling into Epsom, and they're taking over. Luxembourg crushes his rivals, teaches Emily Upjohn a lesson. Ylang spanks her rivals, proves herself to be the dominant Group 1 middle distance filly in Europe. And Los Angeles / City of Troy goes and reigns supreme. The derby that's playing out in my mind is Aidan O'Brien's best derby winner. High Chaparral beats Hawkwing. High Chaparral had the proven stamina and the proven class. And he got a great ride from Johnny Murtagh that day. And he just had a little bit too much class and a little bit too much stamina for the fancy American-bred Hawkwing. And that's what's going to happen this year. Los Angeles is going to have just that little bit too much stamina for the fancy American-bred City of Troy. But if he gets any bigger in the market, if Geoff Banks goes 4-1, bang, we'll go City of Troy. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Final Furlong Podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed having Lucy and George back on the show. I could talk to them all night, which is why we've recorded for so long. But I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, a like on YouTube is much appreciated. That's all we're asking of you. Hit the like button. That's it. And you can follow us all on social media. We'll put up the tags for everybody in a few minutes. From Lucy Russell-Hughes, George Gorman, and myself, gamble responsibly, look after yourself and each other. We'll talk to you again very, very soon in the Final Furlong Podcast. God bless. This episode of the Final Furlong Podcast is only possible with your support, listening and watching, and with the support of our sponsors. So give me 60 seconds to tell you about Geoff Banks Bet. Betting on horse racing used to be very simple. It was us, the punter, versus them, the bookmakers, the old enemy. But today, betting with online bookmakers is zero fun. Online betting companies promise you the world, but if you have the nerve and the audacity to place a winning bet, they will make you jump through endless hoops just to access your cash. It is not fair and it's not fun. And betting is supposed to be fun. Geoff Banks is different. He's one of the most recognizable faces in British racing. He's got pitches at racecourses all across the United Kingdom. He is a true horse racing fan. And while Geoff very much promotes responsible betting, he is standing up and fighting back against these insane affordability checks. Affordability checks that will destroy the levy and kill British racing. Sign up to geoffbanks.bet right now. Use our promo code FFP500, and not only will you get access to a bookmaker who values your custom, who is a racing fan, but he'll give you best odds guaranteed on British and Irish racing, and he'll give you 10% cash back on net losses after your first month, up to £500. Gamble responsibly, 18 plus only, begambleaware.org. It's tradition refined with modern tech and unbeatable odds. Use our promo code FFP500 and place your bets now with Geoff Banks Bet.